All right, and camera's rolling. Just checking. And action. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Valeria Jimenez. I'm a director, screenwriter, and editor of the film Conejo, or Rabbit in English. So join me next week in FILMFave.com.
Hey everybody, this is Shannon from FILMFave, CEO and founder. As we've been doing this whole entire month of March, we've been celebrating women in horror, and today I have a very special guest, and I'm excited to introduce her to you. Her name is Valeria. I hope I said that name right. She's exceptionally talented. We're going to talk about her films, review her trailers with her. But before we get things started, let's play that intro. Hello, Valeria. How are you? So good to see you.
Thank you for having me here and for inviting me. I'm really good. What about you?
I'm doing very, very good. I love your whole look you got going on, and I love your shirt. You match. It's just fun. That's exciting.
My Ace Ventura shirt.
Oh, perfect. I love it. I love it. Actually, it's funny because we've been interviewing a lot of directors who are wearing Hawaiian shirts, and I love the statement that people. Yeah, it's like a thing now, and it's like, oh, I kind of like it. It's a good thing. It's a good thing going forward. So we'll see how it goes.
I think it's a director thing. I mean, Tarantino uses them all the time. So
Yeah, he does. He also uses feet all the time too.
I know. That's another whole subject for another.
We'll save it for another meeting.
Yeah.
So Valeria, she's the director, screenwriter, and a dabbler of all things, mostly in the dark arts. And she is very talented. She's been the director for a number of films. One of them that is I've got a trailer for us to review today. It was done in 2018 called Conjo. Am I saying that right?
You can. It's conejo, but it's rabbit in Spanish.
It's cool. I saw the poster. The poster looks really incredibly done. Who did that for you? Was it just a photo? And
Yeah, I did. I took and steal from the film, and I did all the layout and everything around.
really, really well done because it's got a really dark element to it that really gets you into the film. And then also we have a Delia, if I'm saying it right. I'm sorry if I'm butchering these
Oh,
names.
don't worry. I mean, all my movies are in Spanish, so it's
Yeah.
normal. It's actually Delia, and that's an adaptation from a Frank Miller comic book.
Oh wow, wow! Actually, I am familiar with Frank Miller, so that's awesome. And I collect comic books too, of course.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about being a film director. What was that one thing that was the bug that got you into saying, I watched this thing or I did this thing, and now I am going to be a film director. I'm taking my life this road. What was that one thing?
I mean, it's like small bits of all my life because both my parents are really big fans of films, so they always encourage me to watch kind of movies, and always we make a movie night with the family. That was one thing. The other thing was my love for comic books. I was actually pursuing the career as a graphic designer, as an illustrator, but just that during that season, the first Iron Man movie came out, and I was like really blown away because I was like, okay, these kind of stories can be told in a large format, and I want to be like this director, work with these kind of actors, and the moment you watch the things that you grow up reading, I mean, Spider-Man, the X-Men, Iron Man, and you
Right.
watch them on the screen, it's like pretty awesome and
Yeah.
motivates you to think, I can do this on my own way at some point.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And who was that one person that you really started to watch and like say this is inspiring to me and it motivates me and I love their style and really helped you build your career behind being a female film director?
Well, probably I shouldn't say this, but when I was like 15, 14, I watched for the first time Reservoir Dogs.
Ah, this
And
twice I heard that. So great.
yeah, because everyone was like, no, you have to watch Pulp Fiction. I don't know. And the only movie I found on the shelf was Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, it's like, I'm not saying it's easy to make it, but it was so simple. You have the whole story there in one location and a lot of things happening. So that was one movie that made a big impression on me. And the second one was Drive by Nicholas Winding Refn, mostly
Yeah.
because of his style and you know the silent kind of hero, that kind of things really motivate me because most of movies like Tarantino, you have like a lot of words all the time. And what I
Yeah.
like about Nicholas is that all his movies or his heroes mostly are like really silent and they can tell a lot with their body, with their eyes. So
Yeah.
those are like my breaking points to say, I can do this. That's the kind of people I want to look forward. I want to grow up being like them, you know?
Yes, yes. It's funny that you brought up Reservoir Dogs. I think that that one hits really well with me as well. And I always have this memorable scene when they're walking down the alleyway and they're all wearing their suits and the music's playing and they all start walking slow. That is just like I have taken that into the future, and every time I'm walking with my friends, that's the first thing I think. Hey, the music's playing in the background, and we all look. I don't know
I
what
mean,
it is.
it's iconic. It's iconic because a lot of people can try it, but they don't
Yeah,
hit that hard. But
yeah,
actually, I recently watched this show called Dairy Girls, and they
yeah,
have like a similar moment. So it was like, okay, this is really good because you can buy it that these girls are like badasses, like Mr. Pink, Mr. Blonde, blah blah blah.
yeah, yeah. Who was your favorite?
In the whole movie,
Yeah, Reservoir
I
Dogs.
have to I have to go with Mr. Blonde. I mean, he's
Yeah,
coconuts, the whole dancing, and he has like this look all the time that he's up to something. And
yeah,
the kind of thing that I like about his character is that he's not. I mean, he's aware that what he's doing, but he doesn't see it like he's doing something wrong. I mean, he's just doing it because it's fun.
yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it. I love Mr. Blonde too. He's pretty funny.
I
Um,
know.
so let's talk about your most recent film. Can you pronounce it again for me one more time? I just don't want to blast the
Yeah, Conejo.
Gonejo. Sorry about that.
You
Um,
can call it Rabbit.
yeah, okay, rabbit. Yes, it's really funny because after you talk to someone with an accent, you start to bring the accent on with them, and it's like, because anyway, I just thought it's funny. It's such a beautiful accent. It's the romantic language, I guess. So I love it. I absolutely
Thank
love
you.
it.
Yeah, we work so hard to brush it a little, but it sticks around.
I love it. So tell me a little bit about that, and what was like? Yeah, well, tell me about the movie a little bit.
Well, when I started writing Rabbit, I was in the last semester of film school, and this was going to be my thesis.
Mhm.
And when you're in school, you want to go big, even if you know that you're gonna screw it at some point.
Yeah,
But I was like really motivated because of movies, of comic books, and especially Drive, the kind of thing of the silent hero. I always wanted to do that, like a silent hero, but why not a female hero? Because for me, it's important to show that women are not only the object of desire. They can be heroes, they can be victims, they can be killers, and you don't have to label them as strong females because I believe that all women are strong.
yes, me
So
too.
for me, having like the whole story for me at the end, it's a love story. That's like the whole nature of the film because after all, it's a triangle.
Yeah,
These love, and and that. So when I started, most of my teachers were not like happy with what I was writing because they were thinking, it's too ambitious. It's a lot of locations, a lot of characters. So you
Yeah.
have to like lower it down.
Yeah.
But one of my mentors, that was my film editor teacher, Abraham Castillo,
Mhm.
he was like really pushing me all the time that, okay, narrow it down, you can do it, look for these references, watch these kind of movies. He was like always feeding me with content that I was not used to watch. I mean, movies, TV, even comic books. And also that, and my need of making my let's say my own comic book kind of inspired superhero. So I just went for it, and it all started to break down, talking with my classmates, talking with my friends, and telling them, I have this big idea, I want to do this, I want to do that. And the good thing was that I also 2 years back, I went to a film festival presenting my other movie, Delia, and I
Uh-huh.
met really good friends or other filmmakers. And when
Yeah.
I tell them the story in the festival, they were like, just do it, stop
Yeah.
thinking, I don't care if you have budget or not, but just do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
And that with your friends and my family that always support me, even if I'm a little bit weird, but they were like, yeah, you can do it, go for it. You need food, we can do that. Even my dad,
Yeah.
at some point he was like, I want to have a cameo at the movie, what can I do? And
Oh,
yeah,
that's so great.
yeah, and actually, I wrote a whole part for him, and at the end of the movie, he was not there because he forgot about the shooting. He was like, "Oh, I'm going out on holidays, darling, so you had gonna need someone else." So at the end, I played the character that my dad was supposed to play.
You played the character, so you kind of flipped it on the switch that way. That's interesting. That's great.
Yeah,
I
I
know
mean,
you have actress experience too, so that's awesome.
yeah, I mean, the actor thing was mostly because in school, the school mostly focused on our own acting, and before we can interact with real actors, like 4 semesters, they're like, okay, you're gonna do all your movies,
Mhm.
directing your classmates. I don't want actors, and you have to learn to be an actor and how an actor thinks and how an actor talks. So that's important for you to understand what the actor is going through, and you just don't go like you know be sad or be happy. No, you try to create a whole environment for the actor after all.
Absolutely, yes. And you have to, a lot of times, just from my experience, you have to create this emotional environment so that they can be in this sadness or this murderous type of feeling. So, and you have to get there with them. So you have to bring the whole environment and there with them. You have to be able to change like that on a switch. It's really, it's difficult, and it's a huge talent to be able to do that too. And horror on that case is, you have to think of the mind of of a psychopath, right? You have to get into that mind, and sometimes it can take you too far.
Yeah.
Did you have ever experienced anything like that while making these films?
Not actually, because when I work with certain actors, in this case with Antonio Alcantara, Gabriela Montiel, and
Hmm.
Monica Silva, it's the rabbit, and Javier Noriega, it's the killer.
Uh-huh.
Well, the blue eye guy.
No?
Uh, when I approached them with the script,
Uh-huh.
I was very specific about, your character is this kind of color, your character likes this kind of music. I actually made for each one a special playlist. So this is the
Yeah.
mood that the character is going to have. Before the shooting, we were rehearsing a lot. And
Mhm.
even if there's not really like words in the movie, we rehearse like, okay, what's going to be the way you move, even the way you blink, and the way you look back at the camera. So we try to study everything together. At the end, I mean, I write everything, but
Yeah.
for me, it's important that the actors bring up whatever they feel when they read this and whatever they can bring up. And everyone was like, okay, I can bring up this, you know this kind of cloth. I think this character wouldn't like this kind of art. So everyone was like really, how to say, they bring up things to the table all the time.
And
So
that's
that was for me important in the whole process. sorry for going through a
No,
lot,
no.
but the part of the psychopath, I think we have it clear that you don't have to get deep down in there and scratch things that you don't want to go, because I don't like to disturb people.
Right.
And the way that I was, let's say, taught in school how to approach an emotion as an actor, it's just relate what's the environment, what are the smells. We use a lot of words, like word game.
Yeah.
For example, I don't know, um, I'm trying to think about another movie I made. The character needed to be like sexy and dangerous, but instead of saying that, I told the actors, think about a room full of red velvet, and you just walk into there, and she bring out the character just like that, thinking in red velvet.
Yeah, that's such a great idea too, to give the emotion of a fabric, to bring in what they're supposed to use. Like think of, touching the fabric, seeing the fabric, and then bringing in the emotion through that. That's fascinating. That's really fascinating. Well,
And
I
the
was,
same
yeah. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
and the same thing with the psychopath. I mean, when I was with Javier working with this character Victor, I was like, okay, what kind of material do you think he's made of? Do you think he's made of glass? Do you think he's made of steel? And whatever material you think he's made of, just try to feel it, everything in your body.
Hmm.
Uh, the temperature, everything, the color, when it gets warmer, when it gets colder. And Javier understood exactly what I wanted. He also picked up some references I use from other TV shows or movies. I mean, Hannibal Lecter was like the main influence, both Hopkins and Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
And also Javier has like these really hypnotic eyes all the time. So
Yeah.
when he was making the casting, well, the audition, he really freaked me out because I gave them like, okay, you're gonna talk into a camera and give this confession of a murder, but without saying the murder.
Uh-huh.
And I just went through it like a minute and a half, and I was like watching 30 seconds. I was like, okay, I'm done. He's really creeping me out. You got the part.
Yeah, wow. That's great. Well, you know what? Let's check out the trailer for Rabbit real quick. And I'm really excited to share this with everybody. So this will be cool. I have already seen it. It's really, really neat. I'd love to get a chance to watch it. I haven't had a chance to see it yet. All right. Hey, unmute works, doesn't it? That was so great. I love it. I love the lighting. You really put in a depth of lighting because I noticed that in some cases you have like the reds and the blues and the hues, and then also your angles and the way you were cutting your frame really made you feel like you were in touch with the character. So a really good work for that. At least from what I can see from the trailer, I can't wait to see the film. How can we
Thank
see the film?
well, I can send you the link on Vimeo. I mean, it was like 2 years ago, so now it's in public on my Vimeo channel,
Uh-huh.
where everyone wants to see it.
Perfect. Well, then we will, if you don't mind, we will share it on our website and our social media to make sure everybody gets a chance to check it out. That'll be great. Awesome.
Yeah, of course, go for it. I like people watching it and hearing
Well,
from everyone else rather than just my parents watching the movie.
we definitely want to make sure that everybody, when you see it, make some good comments, stay kind, and appreciate everybody's work and art. And I can't wait. It looks fascinating. So, why don't we go ahead and check out? Can you tell us a little bit about Delia or Dahlia?
Yeah, Delia.
I can think of Delia because I have a friend named Delia. So,
I think it's the language thing. We say it this way, you say it that way, but
yeah, potato,
you
potato,
know,
right?
tomato, tomato, it's same.
You know what though? For me, I always feel bad when I mispronounce people's names because it just to me, if I try to make an effort to understand the way they want to, it just shows a lot of character and love for people. So, but Dahlia, to do it right, yes.
Maybe I'm the one saying it wrong. Who
No,
knows?
no, no, no.
Well, Delia was my fifth semester short film, and the whole idea was making an adaptation of a short story. So why not? I pick up a comic book. Specifically, I pick the Sin City one shot called Blue Eyes,
Yeah.
and I just work around it. And the main idea when I was like adapting the script, I was like, okay, I don't want to make a copy of the Sin City movie. So black and white, it's out of the question.
Yeah. Yeah.
And well, it's the same with Rabbit, that I had to work with the wonderful Gabriela Montiel, that's it, that plays Delia, Antonio Alcantara, our subject, and Aquiles Cervantes, that was like the really bad guy.
Right.
So for example, with Gabriela, that's actually the example I told you about the red velvet thing. I told her, this is the kind of environment, this is the kind of woman she's gonna be. I gave them a little bit of the background
Uh-huh.
of the whole story and the comic book. And actually, Antonio is a big fan of the comic books, so he was like really thrilled that when I read the audition thing, I didn't have like a proper title. I just called it like Untitled Frank Miller Project,
Yeah.
and he didn't think about it. He was like, I want to be part of this. I don't know what it is, but I want to be part of this.
Right. Right.
So both Antonio and Gabriela has been my collaborators for a long time, and I really love them because they grew up they grew up in on all films, in all projects, and they are like my main, how to say, they have been always with me on my growth as an artist. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate them because they are not only just actors for me; they are like also my friends, my collaborators, and I can't wait to do another project with them because they are always fantastic. They get deep down in the emotions, in the character. They always have questions. They always have things to bring to the project.
Right.
So that was for me like a big challenge because it was the first time working with professional actors, and I
Yeah.
was like, really glad that I had both of them. Like, we have you, don't worry, we know what you're trying to do. But they always were like mesmerized with the material because it's really good. It comes from a good source. And
Yeah.
just adapting the whole thing was, it was a pretty intense thing because there's a scene in the movie that we shot it in a bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you're in school, you're supposed to, ask for permission and have all the papers, blah blah blah. So that day, I was like, okay, we're gonna shoot in this bar. We speak with the guy. They're gonna close down the whole bar for us to light it up. Okay, when I was shooting around Sunday, I called the guy and he completely forgot about the shooting.
No. You're like,
So I was like, okay, let's check out the bar. It's Sunday. There's not gonna be crowded. It was really crowded. I
oh,
don't I don't know why in a Sunday,
it just happened to be on a Sunday.
but at the end it was a good thing because we didn't have extras.
Yeah.
So we used the people around there,
Oh,
and
that's smart. That's really smart.
yeah, and the owner was like, okay, you can put lights, but I can't shut down the bar because we're having like a lot of people, so you can try to work around it.
Okay.
So it was challenging for the actors because when we rehearsed, it was like a really close space. It was silent, and they had like the trace that
Yeah.
they were going to follow around the camera. So in
Yeah.
that moment, we had to improvise
Yeah.
because I had this crew of like 20 people. At the end, in the bar, we were just the actors,
Uh-huh.
the cinematographer, and the sound person. So it was like a really small crew,
Yeah.
but at the end everything worked out together. The actors adapt to the environment,
Yeah.
and they got deep down in the story that they didn't care if there was real people around there. And actually people respect the idea that we were shooting. They try to not peek into the camera, or most of people do this. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was a really intense experience.
You have people in the bar looking like this.
Yeah, actually, in the rushes, there's someone that goes like, but someone from the production that was like, you know,
That's so great. You're like,
and I was like, because I edit the movie, I was like, oh my god, what I didn't.
so you do edit your films too. You had I like editing my own films because I feel
Yeah,
like editing is like you can change a whole story with an editor. Like if you get the wrong editor and a different director, you can edit it so it's a totally different story. So I like to edit my own films a lot of times. Do you find enjoyment about that, or do you find time? Is it too much time to do it, or
Okay, this is how I put it. I'm an editor for a job, uh,
yeah,
mostly commercials and all that stuff.
right,
But when I'm director editing and all that, for me it feels like the Fight Club. You're fighting yourself all the time, because as a director you have like this vision that this has to be done this way, but
yeah,
you have the other side of the coin, yourself telling you as an editor, like, dude, you can't do that because you have to cut this, the animation, so stop doing things without not planning it.
yeah,
So, so it's funny because when I'm directing, or I've been told,
mhm,
I'm like really chilled, and I just forget about everything else.
yeah,
And when I get down into the computer and I watch the rushes, it's a pleasant surprise that I can find like really good stuff that I didn't plan. But
yeah.
sometimes I feel like I want to hang myself because you didn't watch that. It's a love
You know
hate
what
thing.
though? You know what's really great though is you're getting lost in your art, and that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. If you get relaxed and get lost in your art, to me that sounds like you're going to tell a much better story because you are in it, right? You are absolutely in it, and I think that's fabulous. That's really cool.
Yeah, me too. And I think also mostly what helped is having a good producer, because in my last film, Conejo, well, Rabbit, my sister was the producer. So she kind of, how to say it, she covered everything around that she didn't want me to see, like, the lightning or something that's going wrong. So she covered up everything, so I didn't have to worry about it. So every time I just approached her, I was like, "Hey, how's everything going?" And she was like, "Yeah, fantastic." And when she turned around, she was like, you know.
Yeah,
But at the end, the whole thing of making these kind of movies, or whatever media you want to express, it's having a good team, people that you can rely, that believe in you,
mhm,
because um, this is an advice for filmmakers out there that are starting. Sometimes when you start, you can find two kind of people. There's going to be the kind of people that it's going to help you, even if they're professionals. They're willing to help you to learn, and not everyone's going to charge you like $1 billion for working for you. No, they're interested in your voice.
yeah,
And there's the other side of the coin. There's like, classmates or people that just go around the set to gossip things. But you know what? You don't have to worry about that kind of people, because
yeah,
people are always going to talk. Whatever you do, something good or something bad, at the end, as a creator, you have to deal with both things. That some
mhm,
people is going to love whatever you do, and there's people that gonna hate it. But
yes,
also I have like this new philosophy for working. I used to approach a set or whatever place I go thinking that, with two things. I'm going to like everyone, and everyone is good at their job. That was
yeah.
like my main thing. Now, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but now I go to work thinking that I don't like anyone and everyone
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah.
But
But you know what? You won't get your hopes let down in that
no,
case.
and actually, it's a pleasant surprise
Yeah,
that you are wrong. That these
yeah,
people it's actually good, and they're willing to help you.
yeah.
And
And
so,
that's a better feeling to have to be pleasantly surprised than to be completely let down. And it's easier to get through your day that way. That's a great way to look at it, actually. You
Yeah,
know?
I actually got it from an actor in the Build series thing. It was like something that really stuck with me. I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna follow that. That's gonna be my mantra now.
Mantra. Yeah, I love it. That's really great advice. That's really good advice. Speaking of which, you know what? Before I get into a couple more questions and we close things up, I really want to share our last trailer with Dahlia, if that's okay, just real quick. And
Yeah, of course,
let's share that with everybody, and you can let us know how we can see it. One
of
second.
course.
Yay! This looks really cool too. So.
¿Cómo supiste de nosotros?
No sé de qué hablan.
¿Quién te habló de nosotros?
No sé de qué hablan.
Wow. That's exciting. That's super exciting.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit more about that. And what was there any pain points, and how did you overcome them as a filmmaker? This was a little bit in your earlier career, correct? This was like right out of college. Is that what you were saying earlier? I believe. So, did you have any like stumbling blocks or big learning lessons that you had with this film?
Well, yeah, I mean, with this one, I learned a lot the value of both sound and photography and the importance of rehearsal and planning. Because when we used to shoot films in for film school, we were like, yeah, just grab the camera, call a couple of fellas, and you know.
Yeah.
But when you have like this like serious production because of the teachers telling you, you have to take this seriously and not stop playing around. So you come with the ugly truth of, okay, you have to plan everything. You have to plan the design, the production design, the makeup, what's going to imply the makeup and the blood, and
Yeah.
okay, the actors, the wardrobe. So it was like a lot of learning because mostly when I was in school, I was just focusing in directing and the actors. But you start to realize, okay, yes, you have the actors, but you have to create this whole environment. So you need a
Yeah.
good photographer. You need good sound, but you also need, for me, music. It's always important. So I was really blessed that my good friend Raul Garcia,
Mhm.
uh, she made the music for both my films, Delia and Rabbit. His company is called Polychrome Records,
Yeah.
and he was like, he didn't watch the movie at the start, but
Mhm.
he got like this really good vibe of what I want because I tell him the story that while I'm shooting, you can do the music. And when I show up to the studio and show him the film, the music he was like flawless because he understood exactly the kind of vibe that I was giving him. So that was for me a big learning because in school we didn't have like proper compositors or musicians. So it was like the first time working out with someone outside the school. That was a good thing. The other thing was my DP in that time, Rafa Arias.
Yeah.
He's also someone that was already in the field for a long time. And when I tell him the story, he was like, "Okay, you don't have like really big budget. What's the kind of stuff you have in school?" He checked down the list and he was like, "Don't worry about it. We can work with this,
Uh-huh.
and just we can rent a light or two." But they told me that not everything is about budget and having like a big label behind you or a big company. At the end, it's people willing to learn,
Mhm.
willing to tell the story, and to share your vision, and because they believe in you. And I've been grateful that these kind of people I mean, Raul, Rafa, my other DP, Luis Ferrusco in Conejo, all of them believe in me and I was doing. And after all, what you have to learn as a director in or anyone working in the film industry, it's that you have to learn to work with a team. You have to learn to work with other people's point of view that they might not agree with everything you do or whatever you're creating, but they can find like these points to make things better. And you have, as a director and any creator, you have to learn to listen to them.
Right.
And yeah, you have to stick to your vision, but also listen everyone around you. It can be the gaffer, it can be the editor, all the people in the set. It's always important. And sometimes in school, you get a little bit egocentrical about what you're doing. You think that you're kind of a new Kubrick, which you're not. So I'm sorry.
No, that's true. It's so very true.
It's true, guys. I'm sorry. And don't hate me.
No,
I was thinking too.
not at all. I've ran into those people who think they are too. It's really funny.
No, I mean, I made peace with that kind of thoughts, mostly
Yeah.
because my elder sister, she studied media. So here in Mexico, I don't know how it happens in other countries, but here in Mexico, there's like a big fight between the people that works in media or study media and the filmmakers, because we are like, oh, media people, they know everything, but they can't do anything. And they are like, filmmakers, you have a lot of ideas, but you have no order. So my sisters,
That's interesting.
I know it's
We all talk about each other.
yeah, it's a you know
Yeah.
fight. So at the end, my sister was like slapping me around and telling me, you have to learn to listen to other people, whatever they come from. And that helped me a lot, because sometimes not everyone that's in film school, even your teachers, not everyone has the answers. So you have to look for them in somewhere else. And there are people, for example, they can be like really good gappers that they didn't go to film school, but they have seen like a lot of things. They know how to light everything.
Right.
And that's the kind of people you have to look after, the actors, everyone in your crew, no matter how small or how big the role is. You have to look after them, because after all, the movie, yeah, you wrote it, but the whole movie is made by a lot of people. It can be made by 5 people or by 200 people. You have to respect and care about each one, no matter how small or how big are the roles.
Yeah. So I have two more questions for you before we have to go. One, if you could go have a time machine and go back to your younger filmmaker self, what would you tell yourself? And this is for all the other younger filmmakers to know, to watch for, or to work with. What would you tell yourself?
What I will tell myself, to listen more
Yeah.
in classes, to your classmates, to everything that surrounds you. Even listen to that old woman talking in the bus, because everyone has a story to tell. uh, Sometimes you get deep down in, I want to be the next comic book creator, and you have to learn that sometimes what the people that is next to you have a really interesting story.
Yeah.
And you have to observe everything, and not just close yourself down to filmmaking, and I'm obsessed with this kind of movie, with this kind of director. You have to learn from everything, from sports, from art.
Yeah.
And also, I would give myself not to give up to your hobbies, because when I started film school, I gave up all my hobbies. That was drawing, was and writing comic books. So I was like, don't give up on that. If you have something that you love, if it's either music, if it's either drawing, don't give up on it, because sometimes it pays back, and sometimes you can use it in the film industry. I mean, you can draw for movies.
Yeah.
You can be the next compositor, the next musician for another movie. So
Yeah.
never stop learning. Always feed from things that you're not used to, even if there are soap operas. Just watch them. Watch a lot of bad films. Most of people tells you, okay, you have to watch these movies that are like the greatest. But for me, it's a better thing to learn from bad movies that have like the lowest rating, even the ones that won Razzies, because that kind of movies, you learn from them, you learn from their mistakes. And no matter how big or how small the movie is, all these movies, even they are good or bad, they are all being made with the same kind of love that you feel for your art. So
Right.
also respect that kind of movies. I mean, this is a common thing that I have with my colleagues, that fighting over the comic book movies. I'm proud to say, yeah, I love comic book movies. I
Yeah.
can appreciate them. I can appreciate Bergman, but that doesn't mean that this one is better than that one. It's just simple a matter of perspective, you know.
No, that's a great way to put it. It's a great way to put it. All right, so we ask everybody that comes to join us, and this is a very hard question. Apparently, it is the hardest question we've ever asked. Are you ready for it?
Go
What-
for it.
What is your ultimate film fave? So your favorite film of all time. It could be a commercial, a music video, it could be any film fave.
My favorite film of all time. Well, I can explain it easier, but
Jurassic Park?
Jurassic Park really
Yeah.
blow out my mind when I was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
I played it all the time on the VHS. So,
Yeah.
and you know what? It was that kind of movie that I didn't watch in Spanish the first time. It was always in English, and I was like 3 years old. I didn't understand anything, but for me, it was like the dinosaurs and the whole adventure.
Yeah.
And you have like an archaeologist, both female and male, and that was important for me because, and also the dinosaurs, all of them are female, so that's
Yeah.
like, yeah, girl power,
Yeah,
But
awesome.
yeah, my favorite film of all time, it's Jurassic Park.
Awesome. I agree. That's a good one. It's a real good one. One thing I didn't do and I really wanted to was to share your director's film reel before we leave. Do you mind if we go ahead and do that? Because I would love for people to see your amazing, talented work.
Thank you. Yeah, go for it.
Let's see. All right.
And thank you everyone for
Excellent. One of the things I wanted to say about your director's reel that I really like is your perspective of how you tell a story, even in a reel. These are totally different stories that are being built together. And I could clearly see the connection of different stories. Like when you're looking in the eye, you told another story and brought it in from the eye's perspective. Then there's another area where there was a person on the ground, and then you moved into the next perspective or the next set of the story where another person was on the ground. And then from there, you took the perspective of the other story and he's standing up over him. So I know that this is long-winded, but this is really how we as directors need to interpret everything and think through things. And I love that about that. I really wanted to point that out, but I caught it, and it's really good work. Really good work.
Thank you for noticing that, because I always think that the reels are also a way to tell a story. Not also say, you have to hire me, but also I can match these kind of small pieces of other stories
Close.
and make them a whole world. Exactly. I mean, the only thing that honestly jumps out is the first part because that's a commercial, but the rest
Yeah.
are.
You know what? The commercial is great. I think it's a good way to, and your lighting. You also did that with lighting. It was bright and then it got dark. And I think that is always, that's really well done too, because you don't want to be looking and telling a story and then all of a sudden you go really, really dark, bright, and then you're really, really dark again. And it's just too much of a, you're taking me out of the story real quickly and throwing me back in, and it's too much. So I think you did a fabulous job and I applaud it. Good job.
Thank you. I think with doing that exercise of my first time doing a reel, directing reel, was that I like to shoot a lot in the night. I love the night. I don't know why, but I love the night.
It's nice. It's hard to shoot in the night. I've noticed.
Yeah.
It's really hard. You gotta really get that lighting right. But it's, I applaud you for keep on doing it. It's good job. Really good work. Excellent.
Thank you.
This has been really exciting, Valeria. I've really enjoyed this. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a real pleasure. And if you want to come and check out Valeria, she's on several different outlets. She's got a website. She's got different films on Vimeo. We will put the links in our FilmFave website and also on our social media. And if you like horror films as much as we do, then make them your film fave.
Last night I was watching TV when the whole room just started spinning on me. I felt something evil, a mystery thread, pulling me closer to my TV set. I tried to get up and run, tried to hide, but the television's always pulling me inside. Cathode rays running through me now, trapped inside a monster movie.
I'm sorry, I'm writing it down.
No problem. Glad you are.
Yeah, I don't want to blow it. I mean, I've been
Oh,
there.
no, you're good. Well, I can't even hit the mute button, so.